From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP, 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains podcast worldwide. Driving cross countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Check your phone, cause BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it and that another could. Never underestimate the power of brotherhood. Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro. Lights, camera, action. Action, action, action. Let's go. From the start to the finish, go hard and we win, and it's the heart of a villain.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Friday night edition of the Heart of a Villain podcast and live stream. Well, you know the rest. Hey, we are here to talk about all things that might be related to BV, Bearded Villains, and we jump around all over the place. If this is your first time here, ever listening to this podcast, God bless you. I love you for being here. We are here for episode 180. 180 of these episodes. Man, time has flown by. We are coming, I don't even remember how many, is this 3? 2019? I mean, to tell you, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. And we're slowly creeping up on 200 episodes. And as I've said before, some of them are not good. Some of them aren't great. Some of them are outstanding. And it's up to you to decide which ones are which. It all depends on where you're from, where you live, who you support, as far as what types of, where you are in the world. And it's funny because when some of these episodes pop off and I have some of these episodes that are specific to a certain region, I get huge listenership in that area all of a sudden for that 1 week. And then all those people stop listening until I do something else that's very close and near to their heart. So hey, that's the podcast game when you're not a celebrity, right? If I have 10 listeners a week, I'm happy. And really, as I've said before, most of what I do here is for me, is a chance for me to actually talk to our brothers around the world. It's a chance for me to learn from our brothers around the world and see what they're doing. So tonight with episode 180, I tried, you know how that is sometimes. I tried to do this little thing where I was going to do a flip of a 180, did a 180 on the show, and I was going to have some people ask some questions of me for a change. We do that occasionally. I think we've done that 3 or 4 times, but for whatever reason, I didn't get many responses. I think everybody's just tired of me asking the questions like that, or they're just busy because the summer is here. Summer is here. It's nice out. It's just after 8 o'clock Central Time here in Northern Indiana, and I can still see out the window. The sun is out still. So probably be daylight for another hour at least. So people are out doing things, and I get that. So hopefully if you're one of those that's out doing something, you're doing something you love, something that's making you happy, and maybe you can find some piece of this here podcast in an audio form when you're doing something else important later on down the line. You can listen, whatever you're going to do. Listen in the car while you're doing chores, whatever it is. We get in, get out. We don't last too long. Take up between a half hour and an hour of your day when you're listening to us, and that's the way we do things. So tonight, in just a few minutes, hopefully, this is the game we play when we try and do things live, right? Hopefully we'll be connecting with the captain of BVC, Bearded Villains Chicago. They are currently in the process as we speak right now. Just before we went live here, I noticed that they did go live themselves on their chapter page because they are getting together little goodie baskets of toiletry items and all sorts of different things for a homeless event that they have tomorrow morning. Actually, they start off, and it's one of their annual events that they do. They had to take a year and a half off for COVID related issues, and they couldn't do it for a while. It was something that their community really, really loved, and they love doing. And it's such a great time to go over with those guys and help out when we can. I'll be going back over there tomorrow morning, along with a bunch of my brothers from here in northern Indiana, to go help celebrate with them, but also to help out any way we can, and to give out these items. But I wanted to highlight their efforts, because the stuff that they do when they do this event, when they get together, the boxes and boxes of items. And so I just wanted to possibly bring him on a little bit to talk about what they're doing tomorrow with this event, what they're doing tonight in preparation for it. But also, it's their 8th anniversary, and they are one of the older chapters here in BV that we have. And so, just to talk a little bit about that, I know it's also this weekend. It's going to be the Bearded Villains of Indiana, BVIN, is also sharing, or is also celebrating their 8th anniversary as well. They're going to have their own anniversary party down in Indianapolis area tomorrow. But up close here, up close next to me, tomorrow I'll be going over Chicago, because they're doing this really cool charity thing. And hopefully I'll be getting Mr. Mendez, the captain of the BVC, here on with me live to talk a little bit about that here in just a few minutes. Hopefully he gets my reminder message to call in. I know I saw on the IG live, I know he's very busy right now doing some stuff, but I thought it'd be a good time for us to maybe hopefully connect with him, and while they're doing what they're doing, and to show us kind of what they're doing, all the volunteers that they have there. And they're at one of the great places there in Chicagoland area where they meet a lot, at Social Junkie, a very cool bar that has an outside space, is where they're at right now tonight. So hopefully we'll be able to connect with him soon. I did mention a few minutes ago, one of the things that I was hoping to do, was for some people to connect and reach out and kind of do a 180 on me and ask me some questions. And I didn't know if anybody would respond or not. I had a couple people, and those two people actually asked me interesting questions. So I want to give them credence a little bit to those when we can. But first, I'm going to try to bring in Mr. Mendez here in just a second. And it looked like he tried to just call in and it just disconnected. So hopefully we're going to try and bring him back here in just a second. I'm going to send him a quick message and see if we can get him on here real quick to talk a little bit about what BVC is doing this weekend with their homeless drive to pass out items of goodness. And so let's see. All right, I think we've got him in here now. Let's see. Are you in here, sir? Let's see. For some reason, we got you muted. Hang on just a second here. Jay, are you there?
Yo, what's good?
How you doing, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm great to see you. I saw on your IG live the chaos that you guys are having right now with all the items that you guys are putting together.
Yeah, man. We got a great haul this time around. A lot of people came through, donated and purchased items from our Amazon wish list, and a lot of other people just brought items that we were in need of. And we're right now in the thick of it, where we just started our chain system, if you will, of packing all the items.
If you can, just kind of give everybody a rundown, because you guys, the way you guys do this, it's really cool. Can you just give us a rundown of what it is you're actually doing tonight, and then what happens tomorrow?
All right. So what we're doing is our annual BVC homeless anniversary outreach. Now, keep in mind, we haven't been able to do it for the past 3 years. The last time we did it was 2019. And obviously with the pandemic, it shut everything down. And the years following, we kept on reaching out to the organization that we always partnered up and helped out. And, because of COVID restrictions, they were like, no, we can't do it. But they gave us the green light this year, which is amazing for us. So it's something that we really enjoy doing. So it's a local homeless shelter in the west side of Chicago. So it's called the Franciscan Outreach Center. and they service men, women, and children between 250 to 300 individuals. And what we're doing right now, what we've done every year, is we once in the preparation for that day of that event, we try to collect all donations for like hygiene products, soaps, razors, toothbrushes, socks, everything you could think of. And what we do, and what we're doing tonight, the day before, we it's our packing party, if you will, where we grab all the donations that we did, and we then put them into 1 gallon Ziploc bags, and we disperse that. We hand that out tomorrow while we're at the shelter. And not only are we doing that, we're actually having local barbers come out, give out free haircuts. I want to give a big shout out to His and Hers Barber School that's located here in Chicago. I also want to give a shout out to Headliners Barbershop. And I also want to give a shout out to Leroy's Barbershop for allowing us to host this packing party. So again, free haircuts, hygiene care package, clothing, and at the end of it all, we're outside the actual shelter grilling. So they along with a free meal. So, and that's what we're doing right now. So again, we're collecting all the items. We're putting them into Ziploc bags. I'm gonna show you right quick. I can show you one completed one right quick.
Yeah.
And
Show us.
it's
Yeah.
here
Show
we
us
go.
around there a little bit. Show us around. Yeah.
And let me see if I can flip this camera over right quick, and I'll
All right.
show you what's going on. Bear with me.
Yep. Okay. So for our listeners, he apparently, when trying to flip the phone around, he disconnected his phone. So he'll be calling back here in just a second here. We're going to try and bring him back in here. There we go.
It looks like I got dropped, but here we go. I'm not sure if I'm live or not.
Yes, you are now.
Okay, so here we are, man. As you guys can see, we got the assembly line. I'm going to show you the starting point. Shout out to all the brothers that came out. We got our Northern Indiana brothers in the house. Say what's up. What up? Yeah. All right, so here's the starting point right here. So we have our 1 gallon bags here. We have our snack bars here as well. We have feminine hygiene products here, soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, razors, toothbrushes, deodorant, socks, combs, and a lot more. So that's exactly what we're doing, and this is all just people who are donating their time and giving back. So this is what BVC is all about.
I love the effort that's going into this thing. The amount of items that you guys are going to be able to collect for this for those people at that facility tomorrow is going to be amazing.
Yeah, we're definitely excited as well, and we're very uh, us. We're for sure excited about being able to give back to the community, especially those who are, not in a good spot in their current life at the moment. But we're also just really excited because again, we haven't been able to do it for the past 3 years since 2019. You know what I mean? So this is kind of like a return back to our what we've always done. And we're very excited about that. And on top of that, of course, we're celebrating our 8-year anniversary as well. So aside from giving back what we love doing, tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, we're going to be getting together and breaking bread with one another over good times, good vibes, drinks, etc. But again, this is all part of it. This is something that we really enjoy. So the moment that we received confirmation that we got the green light that they were going to welcome us back, we just jumped on the horn, jumped up, and just went to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's amazing. Now, can you talk for just a second? I know that you mentioned that you also receive donations from an Amazon wish list. How does that work exactly for people that don't know?
Well, so I'm trying to think. This is our second time running with the Amazon wish list. Um, we did one recently. I can't remember the event where we utilized it, but I know for a fact this time around doing it the way we did, man, we were, how can I say, there was an influx of just donations. It just made it so easy. So I definitely highly recommend it. to everyone. So I mean, it's simple. I mean, to me, it's a lot simpler. Where instead of just making a flyer, if you will, which I think without a doubt, still do it because that's what we did. We still made a flyer saying, "Hey, you got donations? Let a member know. We'll go pick it up." But with the Amazon wish list, it does everything for you. So obviously, you select the items that you're looking for. You add it to a list. You actually even get to indicate the quantity of how many of that item you need, right? And you'll put your information. And what's so great about it is that whoever orders from it, it populates whoever set it up the address. So, for example, whoever ordered it, they didn't have to worry about shipping or whatnot. It just arrived. It's self-populated, if you will. So once they made the purchase, it went to the destination it was supposed to go to. So it made things so much easy. At first, I was a little nervous about it, but man, after seeing just within the past 2.5 weeks, just the influx of stuff that we got, it gave us a peace of mind knowing, like, man, we're good. We're gonna have the amount of items that we need, or that are needed, that are gonna benefit those that are in need of it. So, highly recommend it. It's easy. KISSS, man. Keep it simple, stupid. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the so when this is set up, do you receive the shipments of the items as soon as they're ready to go from when people purchase them, or do they all come at one time right before you need them?
No, it would be. It's like, so whoever makes the purchase, it's like that individual purchase, and it'll ship out. It's Prime. So if you're a Prime customer, I mean, I got confirmation from guys that I have same day delivery. And so there were some instances where I had a same day delivery, or I bought it. Someone told me on Monday, and I got it by Tuesday, no later than Wednesday. So
Wow,
it's legit. It's legit, easy. And when it comes down to whatever the need is, it's there. And you know what? Well, here's a tip as well for my guys out there. What I learned in this thing, which I thought was amazing, was, no lie, Amazon already has it. You know how when you like key in a search and it self-populates, if you will.
hmm
Well, as I was typing like bulk items, like one of the like self-populate, where it would populate, it was homeless outreach items, if you will, or
oh
homeless
wow,
bulk items. So there was a lot of items where, again, and that if anyone ever took a look at the list that we had, um, those were items that had like large quantities. Like, I could give you an example. Like, one cool package was a 300-piece set, 300 pieces of combs, razors, and toothbrushes. So it was 100 each. So, but still, though, I mean, think about that. Right,
wow.
just with that alone, with that item itself, I mean, dude, anyone can make an impact with that.
That's
And
a
I think
hundred
it was
people
like,
right
no, it
there.
was like less than, what was that?
That's 100 people right there.
100 people. And if I'm not mistaken, someone could, fact check me later on. But I believe that pack is still on our list. But that kit, if you will, was like under $40, maybe.
Wow,
So for $40, again, and this goes to everybody. For $40, you could, you know, like you said, service 100 people. Again, 100 combs, 100 razors, 100 toothbrushes. You know what I mean? But again, it was not just the Amazon wish list. We had a couple brothers that came in who reached out to contacts, friends, family. We had two guys from my chapter here who had reached out to like a local dentist or whatnot, and each of these guys brought in like 300 travel size toothpaste and like 150 toothbrushes. You know what I mean? So,
wow.
um, again, it was definitely the Amazon wish list does work, but obviously putting in the work of and this is what we always tell our guys, is just putting the word out there. Hey, man, tell your neighbor, tell your friends, tell your coworker. It's that whole something I had recently shared with my own guys was the whole like that 6 degrees of separation thing.
Mm,
Like someone's got to know someone that can make an impact or wants
yeah,
to make an impact. And the only way that starts is by simply asking. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I know for a lot of guys, sometimes they like to hold those cards to themselves because they want to use those favors for themselves, maybe. But when it comes down to like a cause like this, man, it's like, dude, someone out there, there's a contact of a contact of a contact that owns a business that wants to get rid of items or wants to donate items, or they themselves want to make an impact in the community. So it's just a matter of asking, bros.
Incredible, man. I love what you guys do. I love what you're about. I know I'll be there tomorrow to help out. If anybody's watching this tonight,
What
if
was
any,
that? I'm sorry, you got interrupted.
no, you're right. If anybody's listening right now, and they're planning on coming into Chicago maybe tomorrow morning to help out, can they still bring things, or are you guys going to be all set for packing things
Hey,
as after tonight?
we're how can I say, no donations is going to be overturned, if you will, because we're going to find a place for them. Because again, aside from doing this annual thing, one of the things that here in Chicago we've dubbed it is our guerrilla outreach, boots to the ground thing, where we just, if there's not a major event that we're working on or whatever, we simply to get together and we go to a local area where we know it's heavily populated by a homeless community or whatever it is, and we just go service that community with care packages and etc. So whatever donations, if you're planning on coming tomorrow, just know that whatever you bring would not be turned away, and just know that it's going to have an impact here in Chicago. If it's going to be tomorrow or if it's going to be the next month, Chicago BVC is going to put those items to work and to use. And right quick, I'm going to pan the camera around so you can just see exactly what these, the amount of donations or what we pretty much the work we're putting in right now. Check this
Yeah.
out. Manny, get out the way. We got the little ones helping out as well.
Yeah.
BBC's we love the children. BBC love the children. But yeah, man. So this is what we're doing.
Absolutely incredible, man. What a cool thing, and it's so cool to see how many lives are going to get touched tomorrow for the better, especially this time of year. People think that you only need to. It seems like a lot of times people forget about helping out the homeless unless it's the cold weather months of the year, and I think
Yeah, no, especially
it's an important
in
point.
Chicago. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just saying
Go
that's
ahead.
where I was done.
Oh, again, I mean, you're right. I mean, as you know, you're up in Indy. I mean, in the Midwest, man, it gets cold really bad, but it also gets hot as hell, man. And there's no doubt in our mind we're going to experience a major heat wave tomorrow. It's going to be a very hot day. We actually even got donated. I forgot to even shout out. We even got donated like a half pallet of cases of water. So we're going to be, distributing that as well. That's a big shout out to our very own Miguel Paz. Who was able to donate a half stack pallet, not a full pallet where it's, as tall as me, but like legit a great amount, where we're going to be able to keep everyone hydrated on a very hot day like tomorrow.
Man, it's going to be a great day. Going to be a great day. Good to see that you guys are back at it after some time away from being able to do this, because I know this is something that you guys love to do. It's fun to watch you guys interact with the public in this way. So I'm excited to see you guys be able to have some fun with this tomorrow.
Well, we're very excited. Again, everyone's more than welcome to come out, put their hands to the plow. If you're unable to make it tomorrow morning, and if you guys just want to come out and celebrate with us for our 8-year anniversary, you guys are more than welcome to come out. All the details are on our social media. And yeah, we definitely look forward to breaking bread with as many brothers and sisters tomorrow.
Sounds good, buddy. Appreciate it. Have a great night. Good luck, and I'll see you in the morning.
See you in the morning, brother.
All
Much
right,
love and
take care.
respect.
Yep, you too. Bye. All right, man, that's awesome. So much going on over there right now, and they have this huge line of people that just piecemealing everything together. It's fun to see exactly what they got going on over there. It's a simple system, but how cool is it that we, with technology now, one of the hardest things that I've seen anyway in trying to raise donations as far as physical items. Money is hard enough, but physical items, a lot of times people don't take the time to come to collection points anymore. It's become very, very minuscule, the amount of collection points when you ask people to bring donations to this place or that place. it doesn't happen as often as it used to several years ago. And now, how cool is it that a big place like Amazon allows you, and of course they're getting their money for it, but it's a very cool, convenient way to help out. That it's kind of like the old bridal list, your registry, your bridal registry, or something like that. You do a wish list on Amazon. You can set what it is you need, and you can direct people over there. They can feel better about giving a donation to your organization for what you're doing, knowing that it's not just a cash donation, because some people are leery about that. Some people are leery about doing a cash donation, but by doing it this way, they can do a donation in physical items, knowing full well that those items are going to go to a good cause, put to a great purpose, and they're going to. It's exactly what you need. So, and it's not just. Think about this, folks, in a different way too. It's not just for like homeless drives, right? If you have any, regardless of what you have, if you're trying to collect items for a specific cause in a charitable nature, being able to use this Amazon wish list would be an amazing control item for you. So please, think about it. I know we're going to be thinking about it for a future event of ours as well. But big shout out to BVC for their 8-year anniversary, and for getting out there and being able to get back to what they know and what they love, being able to impact Chicago in such a positive way. Tomorrow with their homeless hygiene drive that they're doing. I'm not sure exactly what else to call it, but good times tomorrow for sure. Before I was on with Jay, we were talking for a minute, just briefly, a little bit about a couple of questions that I did shout out to the people that were a little bit this earlier today. I asked people, hey, give me a question or two if you have a chance to try and pull a 180 on old BP, to toss me a question and see if you have anything. And I had a couple people respond, but like anything else that we usually have here, we only get a couple of people that respond. Some people just see the question, pan through it, no big deal. I don't know if they think that I'm going to be able to, I'm going to get out and shout out that they were the one that asked this specific question. That's the cool thing about what we do here. And I've asked people before, give me your question. I just want the question, because chances are, if you're going to ask a question, chances are somebody else has that same question on their mind, but they don't want to ask it, or they're too afraid to ask it, or don't want to say afraid. That's not really what I mean, but they have that same question, but they're afraid of being outed, I guess, for having that weird question, or whatever it is that they seemingly feel is a weird question. No question is weird. No question is a dumb question. Well, there are dumb questions, right? Let's be honest. But in this realm, in this circumstance, when we're talking about stuff related to BV, I want to hear the fun questions. I want to hear what you got on your mind, because I know there's discussions out there about a great many things. People are talking about stuff all the time, and making comments about this, that, or why is this changing, and what's this like, and how do you like this? So it's always fun to get these questions, but people read this stuff and they don't respond. That's fine. Maybe they just don't want to. I don't know. But this, so we're, looks like we're about 26, 27 minutes into the show here. And we're going to go over this, and then we're just going to call it an early night, after I cover this little topic here. So, we're going to get, like I said, in and out here on episode 180. I was asked, one of the questions that somebody sent me was, asking me specifically, like, what was your favorite non-Bearded Villains Northern Indiana event? What was your favorite event of 2022 of the past year that was not my own? Well, obviously I'm going to say my own, but he knew better than to say that to me. We had such a great time at Return of Ezra Crow last year. We're gearing up for the Return of Ezra Crow, coming up on October 21st here in Northern Indiana. And for those of you who heard about how cool it was, who heard about how awesome Return of Ezra Crow was last year, this year is kicking off to be even bigger and better than ever. We've got a whole slate of stuff on the list. I'm free to talk about it all I want to on my show here. Just real quick, I'll mention that, if you have ever been to an event and you kind of got bored halfway through, because it's just, some people love the beard comps. Some people love hanging out and doing the beard comp thing, and that's all it is. But our event we've specifically tailored that it's not just that. And you will, even last year, but this year even more so, you will not be bored. You will not be bored. The entire time you're there will be things for you to see and or do or participate in. And so definitely find your way to Northern Indiana, October 21st. We're going to have a blast. I know we've already heard from several people from around the country, but actually some international brothers that are actually making the trip over. So we're looking forward to seeing them as well. It's going to be a blast here in Northern Indiana, October 21st. Return of Ezra Crow. More information about that upcoming. But the question was, what was my favorite event of 2022? And I can't really, and I know this is, some people will say I'm not really giving a correct answer, or I'm just kind of, skirting the answer. But I can't really say there was a favorite. I can say that there were several that were very good that I really enjoyed for various reasons, different reasons for each one. I love, of course, the World Meet in Chicago. And even though if you've been to every one of the World Meets, you know that different, they're attended differently by different people. Sometimes, it just depends on what people's schedules are and whatnot. But I had such a great time because always in Chicago, it's always a great time with those guys. But the venue was a really cool venue, kind of a dance club place type of vibe. So that was really fun. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. But I had the pleasure of going to my first going to Beards for Bucko last year up in Canada. That was a really cool meetup because those guys came up with a plan of attack. They came up with a way of running an event that was different from anything else we'd been to, giving you a sash, kind of like scouting. They gave you a sash, and you earned patches, their badges. You earned those throughout the day based on trying different events, and you had to pay to be a part of these different events. So they're raising money while doing it for their charity purposes. But at the same time, I don't think anybody really paid attention to the fact that they were spending extra money to do this because they were having such a great time with it. So Beards for Bucko, I'm excited to say that I'm going back to Beards for Bucko this year. Didn't think it was going to happen, but I'm excited to go back again to experience it again. And I know that the plan is for what they're going to do. From what I've heard, it's just going to be an amazing time again. So, of course, I'm looking forward to that. So Beards for Bucko was really cool because they were doing something different than they'd done before. I really enjoyed, there were a couple of events that I went to that were very, very, very small. And I don't say that as a bad thing. I say that is because if you've only been to the bigger meets, if you've only been to East Coast Meet, West Coast Meet, Nash Vegas, Knox Villains, Dirty South, LSV, the World Meet, if you've only been to those, then I think you're missing out a little bit. And I don't mean to say just stay home and do your thing either. But if you give yourself the opportunity to travel to another chapter's event that's not a major event, a smaller event, say, I think one of the coolest things about those types of events is that it gives you that opportunity to actually connect with people. At some of these large events, there's so many people there and so many faces that you recognize, faces that you haven't met in person. That's always exciting. Great. But at the smaller meets, you actually get to sit there and have a conversation, a meaningful conversation with these people that you actually are just getting to meet in person sometimes for the first time. And that to me is so invaluable. I mean, I love the big meets are great because you can finally meet this guy that lives 10 states away or in another country. And you might talk to him, though, for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because then you're going to skirt over here and you're going to go talk to this other person and these other people. And you walk away from the weekend thinking, okay, it was a busy weekend. It was a whirlwind. I had lots of fun. But then you look back on it and you think, yeah, I wish I would have had more time to talk to so-and-so or this, and you just don't. You just don't have that time. And so I want to encourage everybody, because this kind of question sent me on this down this rabbit hole here. But I want to encourage guys to not overlook those small meetups, the small meets. If Chapter XYZ is having their own little charity beard comp, and you know that there's probably going to be 50 people there, maybe less, go to it. because I'm telling you right now, the connections and the conversations that you're going to have at those meets, I think will fulfill you more than some of the ones that you have at the big meets, even though the big meets are fun. Being able to walk away and say, I really got to know these brothers. I really got to, and everybody doesn't, everybody's not going to be your best mate, right? You're not going to be best buddies with everybody. Brothers, not every brother is their brother's best friend, right? But it gives you an opportunity to really get to know people and to really get to know what's on a brother's heart, where they come from, what their backstory is, why they are in Bearded Villains in the first place, what it is that brought them into Bearded Villains, and why they, if they have a real, heavy desire for stuff, where did that come from? Those are the conversations that you don't often get at the big meets. And so last year I got to go to a handful of these smaller meetups, and they're awesome. They're just awesome. You don't walk away from those feeling any less enthused than you do the really big ones. So encourage you all to do that for sure. Got to go out to East Coast Meet last year. It was not the first East Coast Meet I've been to, but it was a first time I've been to Baltimore for an East Coast Meet in that area. That was always fun. Hanging out with some of the guys. Some of the East Coast guys don't get a chance to come to the Midwest very often. So going to their side of the country was fun because got to hang out with some guys that, again, we don't get to see very often. So had a lot of fun. Went back down to Nash Vegas, had a good time down there. Nash Vegas is always a great time. Knox Villains was a great time last year. I didn't get to go to Knox Villains this year because I went to the West Coast Meet this year. First time I've been to a West Coast Meet. So I encourage everybody to get out there and don't stay in your home city, your home state. Find a way. It doesn't have to be an expensive trip. It really doesn't. If you get creative and you work out details with the brothers, try and get some of your brothers from your local chapter to go with you. You can do it in a car ride, okay? You can find creative ways to stay places. Maybe there's a brother at the hosting chapter that can put you up for a night. There's ways around having to spend a whole ton of money to go to these events, and that's what we need to do. We need to encourage everybody, find a way to get somewhere else. Get out of your home area and meet up with brothers from all over the country, all over the world if you can. I know that's not super easy for everybody though. So I hope I answered your question, but there was too many really good events for a variety of reasons for me to say one was my favorite aside from my own. So that was difficult for me to answer specifically. But let me say this: we did have another brother that asked me a question, and this one was more difficult to answer. He asked me, "What do you think about all the big BV influencers leaving chapters and BV?" And I kind of asked him to expand a little bit on that, and our conversation kind of went into, well, let's see, he says, and I'll just read you his response back was, he thinks that the older BV guys are seeing times change, and it's not like it once was. He says 5 years in, he's seen a ton of guys run through chapters. Capos don't try to hold on to the good ones. If it isn't in their circle, they don't care. I've seen some truth in that for sure. Capos throw around a title and dudes get discouraged. It's supposed to be fun, not a job that you have to work at. Well, he does this for relaxation and for brotherhood. Totally get that side of things. I will say this: when I was first asked that question about the influencers leaving, that term, it's an interesting one, because in any organization that's lasted even as long as Bearded Villains has, you have the group of people that were the originators. You have the group of people that started individual chapters, helped start the areas of the country that were known for what they were doing when they initially started chapters. Some of those guys have decided to leave BV, have left the chapters for whatever reason it is. And I can't speak to their individual reasons. I think most of those guys have a variety of different reasons why they've left. It could be because the club went in a different direction than they thought. It meant different things to them, originally than what it is now. I will say this: I think the club has grown in a really cool way, but I also think that guys have been unrealistic as a whole. Guys have been unrealistic in their feelings of what Bearded Villains, the organization, just Bearded Villains, should or should be, versus what their individual chapters can and should be. Because there's a difference. Like anything else, when you have a parent company, right? When you have a parent company and you have all the different chapters or charters or whatever it is of that parent company, those are the ones that it's like your hand and then your fingertips, right? It's like an octopus. You have the body, but then you have all the tentacles, and all those tentacles are the individual chapters of BV. And so we think of BV as the base of operations, right? But outside of that, once you get into what BV is, you look at the individual chapters, and those are the areas, those are the things that are changing lives. I think that's what's important to concentrate on. And I think that sometimes, my personal opinion, in some cases, is that some of these guys that have left have lost sight of the fact that locally, in their chapter, is what matters. They expect too much, or they have expectations of the body BV, the grand part of BV, the big picture BV. They have feelings that should be one thing, and they're disappointed when it's not. Well, this big picture BV, the big part, is not something that you can directly control. And so why would you put yourself up to set yourself up to be disappointed when it doesn't live up to your standards? Why should you be, you have to separate yourself from that. The thing that you can control is local, your chapter. And I think so often that I've seen in the last 4 years, especially, is that guys have an unrealistic expectation of what the big part of BV is, the big body of BV, the home BV, Bearded Villains. They have an unrealistic expectation of what that should be, rather than focusing on what they can do with their chapter of BV. The chapter itself is where everything is going to matter for you. That's what's going to allow you the opportunities to change lives. That's what's going to allow you the opportunity to hang out with your brothers. That's the entity that's going to allow you to change your own life and have a direct impact with brotherhood on the lives of the people in your chapter and in your area. Those tentacles, those are the things that matter. If you think about it, as I expound on this grand idea of, the octopus, right? If Bearded Villains is the body of the octopus, the biggest part of the octopus is the length of the tentacles, right? It's the biggest part. And it's the most impactful part is the tentacles, because the tentacles are the thing that has all the spiky parts on it. That's the thing that moves. That's the thing that drives it. That's the thing that catches the food. And I know this isn't a lesson in octopus lore or whatever it is, but it strikes me as an easy comparison. The individual BV chapters are the thing that matters. And I think that we set ourselves up for failure when we think and we expect Bearded Villains to be one thing, and we're disappointed, of course, when it doesn't live up to whatever standard is we think it should be. And then we forget about the fact that we're in control of what BV is locally. We are in control of our own chapters. So yes, you are part of that bigger body. You are part of BV, But individually, you are where you are in your local chapter. So rather than set yourself up for disappointment of what the bigger body of BV is and what it does, what it represents, focus on the fact that you are part of BV, but your chapter is doing this. Your chapter is helping the homeless. Your chapter is building beds for kids. Your chapter is cleaning up a highway. Your chapter is working in a soup kitchen. Your chapter is building teddy bears for kids. Your chapter is giving out, food and snacks for the homeless or food and snacks for kids that don't have things in hospitals. Your chapter is the direct impact point. Your chapter is what is changing lives. So don't focus or get upset or feel like because BV isn't this thing that you expect it to be, it was the spearhead. It was the thing that started it. Yes. But what it was and what it now is has drastically changed over the years. The reason it changed, and we've said this so many times before, the reason it changed is because of all the tentacles, all of those chapters and the work that they have done. So I hate to see that people leave BV because by saying the excuse, and I say it's an excuse, when they say it's not what it was. Well, why is it not what it was? Is it because you've gotten lazy? For some, I would say yes. Is it because they've grown beyond your expectation of what it is? For some, I would say yes. Is it because your local chapter is not doing what you think it could be doing? Okay, maybe. But that's where you need to be there to make the change. That's why you need to stay to help make the change. I would much rather see a guy stay and take a step back, let somebody else be a leader if they want to, but still be there as an experienced person within BV to offer guidance and be around. But the idea that that people are leaving BV because it's changed and it's not what it once was, I hate hearing that, because how hard is it for you to change that? You're worried. I think those people that leave for that reason are leaving because they're so focused on what BV is and not what their chapter is. The chapter can be whatever you want to be, whatever you want it to be, whatever you want to make it. So let's focus on that. Let's focus on what we can do in our communities. Let's focus on what we can do with our brothers. When guys leave BV, it doesn't mean we stop caring about them. It doesn't mean in many cases that they're no longer considered a brother, because most often they are. But we've lost them when they leave for that reason. So just in the same way that I tell people that don't be focused on the big picture up top and focus on your little, and if you're not happy with what your chapter's doing, help make a change for it. At the same time, if you are a leader within your chapter and guys are leaving for that reason, you need to take a look at yourself. You need to take a look at your chapter, and you need to ask yourself the hard question. Don't ask yourself, don't say to yourself, well, their loss, because it could be your loss. It could be the chapter's loss. So you have to at least give yourself that chance to ask the hard question, why? What is different for them? Why? What are they leaving for? And it could be something as simple as they just no longer have interest. It could be something as simple as they just no longer want to be a part of what you have become as a chapter. And if that's the case, then you can't really do a whole lot about that. But just to throw it out and say their loss, because maybe the chapter can grow. Maybe the chapter can learn from whatever it is. Maybe that person felt like they weren't being heard. And you can't run things as a dictatorship. Back when BV first started, individual chapters could be run like that. Individual chapters could be run that way. But not now. Not now. There's just no way you can do it. So that was my long answer to that question. I don't like the name. I don't like the name of the influencers, that type of a thing. But I think that that may be part of the reason why some of the older guys that were around in the beginning have, decided to leave. It could be a variety of reasons, but that word, that using that phrase that BV has changed just as a base reason for doing so, I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's a cheap and easy way to leave. I think it's a cheap and easy excuse. I want more. I want to know more. How has it changed? And how have you tried to make sure it didn't change the way you don't want it to? How have you attempted to change it for the better? We got a lot of guys out there who love to shout out, they love to cry out all sorts of, reasons for things being wrong. It's very easy to criticize, but what answers do you have? What answers do you have to how things can change for the better? That's where I'll leave that one. I said a lot, probably upset some people there. We'll see. We'll see if I get some comments on that. I don't know if that's the case or not. But hey, guys, this has been an awesome time tonight. Great time talking with the guys from Chicago, with Mendez out there in Chicago, Mr. J. Mendez, captain of the BVC. So thank you for chiming in with me tonight, and look forward to hanging out with you tomorrow. Thanks for anybody who is listening to this thing on a standard podcast platform after the fact. Hey, next week, we're counting down to our top 20 or last 20 episodes before we hit 200, going at 181. So that is going to wrap up episode 180 of this here show. Guys, I want to challenge you, as I do every single week, to be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Most important words I say every week, guys. I've said it for every single one of these here episodes. It's a long time. Been saying it since. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. But guys, have a great night. Enjoy this weekend. Get out there and enjoy the weather if you have some nice stuff. Take care. Stay safe.
Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro. Lights